All right, pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This means that members of the public body, as well as members of the public, may access this meeting via virtual means. Participants may access this meeting through the remote meeting link as posted on the meeting agenda and through the town's online calendar. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by raising their hand or otherwise signaling their intent to speak. This meeting will be recorded. Please take care to mute your microphone unless you have been recognized by the chair. We'll now confirm attendance of members. Please respond with present if you're on the call. Elise Malowski.
Present.
Lucia Lopez.
She is not joining us tonight, Chair.
Okay. Matthew Ronca.
Present.
Michael King.
Present.
Parker Happ.
Present.
Peter Mimo.
Present.
Amna Dewan. Vikasath Prati.
Present.
And Rob Benson is here. All right. All right, I'm just going to go right into the administrative items. Start with number 1. Are we in position to Aniri, do you have any feedback you need or wanted for March 9th and March 23rd? Are we ready to move forward with the motions here?
Yes, I received comments on March 9 and that is amended and discussed in the last meeting. I did not get any comments on March 23rd. If board members do not have any comments, we can do a motion on those 2 items.
All right, I'd like to entertain a motion that the planning board approve the minutes of March 9th, 2026 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All right, thanks everybody. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Elise Smailowski,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Vikasath Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is yes. All right. Does anyone have any feedback about the March 23rd meeting minutes? All right, I'd like to entertain a motion that the planning board approve the meeting minutes for March 23rd, 2026 as written.
So moved.
Oh, second.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Michael. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Elise Malowski,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Vikasath Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is yes. All right, moving on to item number 1.2. From what I'm reading in the meeting packet, it looks like a lot of progress was here. Does anyone on the board have questions? Or would anyone, Aniri, could you just give for the benefit of the board a quick summary?
Sure. So Beta, our peer engineer, did a review, a site visit and closeout inspection on March 17. In their first report, they listed a lot of items which applicant need to address in their punch list, and DPW also sent us a list of the comments from their side. Applicant did a good job and they identified and addressed all the comments. And as you can see in the folder, Beta report and as well as the DPW, they both are satisfied. So Whisper Way applicant is good for street acceptance, as well as the bond release of the amount of $98,235. Usually it's up to the board member if they want to release bond at the moment or they want to wait till street officially get accepted during annual town meeting. Board can release some amount and hold some, or they can release the entire amount as well. So that is up to the board. But as per the designing and the planning plan-wise, applicant address all the comments.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions? Matthew, go ahead.
There was a question from DPW about sidewalks. Was that addressed with DPW?
Yes, so you can see in the Carrie's letter as well, dated April 6th, which is today. She did a final site visit from her side, and all the sidewalk concerns and ADA compliance applicant did it on site as well, basically. So yeah. And just to let the board know on the easement part, applicant's lawyer already submitted that to our select board. So, and legal counsel already reviewed that. So they are good on that part as well.
Does the board want me to review the letter we plan on sending to the select board? I can just read it out loud, I guess. Regarding street acceptance report, Whisperway, dear Joe, Joe is our chair of the select board. Pursuant to the requirements of Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 8(1)(I), the planning board provides this report relative to the request for acceptance of Whisperway as a public way at the 2026 annual town meeting. The select board requested that the planning board review the street acceptance materials and provide a recommendation regarding the acceptance of Whisperway. The board discussed this matter at this meeting on March 23rd and April 6th, 2026. Whisperway definitive open space subdivision. The Whisperway subdivision was approved by the planning board in 2019 and is subject to an OSLPD special permit. Construction of the roadway and associated utilities has been ongoing for several years. The applicant, 20th Century Homes Incorporated, has requested a certificate of completion, release of the construction bond, and acceptance of Whisperway as a public way at the 2026 annual town meeting. The town currently holds a performance guarantee in the amount of $98,235. Beta Group conducted a closeout inspection on March 17, 2026, and issued an updated as-built review dated April 3rd, 2026. In this updated report, Beta confirms that all previously identified emissions, required plan modifications, and stormwater as-built requirements have been addressed. These included drainage, catchment documentation, pipe slope callouts, easement clarifications, installation of driveway documentation, pipe slope callouts, easement clarifications, installation of driveway aprons and the ADA ramp, correction of settlement at DMH-5, installation of street trees, installation of the required dead end sign, and confirmation that the infiltration basin drains within the required time frame. Beta's April 3rd, 2026 report states that all items have been resolved and the constructed roadway and drainage infrastructure are consistent with the approved plans and town regulations. Based on the updated information, the planning board finds that the roadway and associated infrastructure now meet the town subdivision rules and regulations and stormwater regulations. The board may support requests for acceptance of Whisperway as a public way and release of the construction bond, retaining a small portion till town meeting if desired under section 11-5.2. Please contact me if you have any questions or need additional information. Sincerely, Robert Benson, Chair. Sorry for taking everyone reading through that, but go ahead, Matthew.
I move the board transmit the final report to the select board and recommend that Whisperway be accepted as a public way at town meeting.
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Elise Mayalowski,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Vikasath Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right, the question I have now is, should we, and this maybe is relevant to the board, should we release the bond? I'm trying to recall. I don't know that our standard practice is to hold on to bonds to wait for a town meeting. Like once the work is completed and our peer review consultant says it's completed, my feeling is we traditionally release the bond at that time. But Aniri, do you have any information or different perspective?
So if board feels that you are satisfied, I will suggest to release the bond because since applicant addressed all the comments and concerns and there is nothing left for applicant to do at the moment, so there is no meaning of holding the bond. But if board feels, as per the subdivision rules and reg, you can hold till official street acceptance process get completes and after the town meeting they file with town clerk or board can release the bond at the moment. If
Does anyone
board
have-
decide,
Go ahead,
sorry.
Mary.
Yeah, if board decide to release the bond, we need a majority voting for this.
Mhm.
Just doing.
All right. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
No questions. I think we released the bond.
All right, thanks, Parker. I'd like to entertain a motion that we release the performance guarantee for Whisper Way in the amount of $98,235.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Parker. Thanks, Michael. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Elise Malowski,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Vicar South Pratzi. Vic, are you there?
Oh,
And
yes.
mute.
Yes, I was on mute and I was saying yes. I apologize.
Okay, great. And Rob Benson is yes.
Mm.
All right. Thanks. We don't need to close anything. Chris or Craig, do you have any questions for the board or everything seems to be done on our end?
I am happy. Thank you for the help. And we'll move on to the next one.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair,
Go ahead, Aneri.
before we go to 1.3, just two things. I'm going to email you this letter. If you can come stop by tomorrow morning, or you can do electronic signature as well, because I need to submit this by tomorrow morning for tomorrow's select board meeting. And the
Okay.
second thing, do board wants me to attend tomorrow night's select board meeting for Whisper Way as the planning board sponsoring this article, so somebody needs to be there. If select board members do have any questions or anybody from board member wants to be there.
Hey, Rob, I'm going to be there for a separate reason, so I'm happy to answer questions if Aneri wants a night off.
That's fine with me, Aneri, unless you're looking to go.
I'm anyway going to be there tomorrow because it's a long day for us, so I'm gonna be, but I just wanted to make sure if board, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay with me. Parker will also be in attendance. Matthew, go ahead.
Through the chair, just to be clear, it's just the Whisper Way that we need a planning board to answer questions given the timing of sending the letter. Is that correct?
No, usually for street acceptance, somebody or whoever the petitioner is, they needs to be there just in case board or public have any questions to answer that. But yeah, it's just a public hearing for street acceptance, so. But town manager is aware of this Whisper Way and she knows that we're gonna give report tomorrow, so that's gonna be okay.
We have 3 street acceptance reports before the select board, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do we need?
So deep for Chester Street, DPW Carey gonna be there for Asialo. Parker and the Cielo residents needs to be there. Whoever the petitioner for those articles needs to be there. And for Whisper Way, since planning board sponsored that, somebody from planning board or I need to be there just for.
Okay, so this is the only one that we need planning board for.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for clearing that up.
Mhm.
All right. So I think Aneri, if you're going to be there, that's great. Parker, if you're going to be there as well, I think we're covered. I can see if I can make it. Aneri, if I can, I will let you know.
Okay.
All right. On to agenda item number 2. Public hearing for 75 South Street.
Chair, we missed the 1.3 Chester Street.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to go too quick. Could you, Aneri, could you refresh the board's memory on Chester Street?
Yeah, sure. So applicant requested to release the bond, the final bond of amount of $15,170, which planning board approved back in January 6, 2025. Beta conducted their closeout inspection on March 17. Beta initially had a couple of punch list item which applicant needs to address, and on April 1st revised Beta report, applicant answer and address all the comments. There were talk about loan and seat insulation at the driveway edge that is been verified. Applicant provided feedback on that, and there was other comment regarding side planting, but that was not on the original bond, so that is anyway done. There are a couple of construction material still on the side, which gonna be removed by applicant within 2 weeks. So as per the Beta report and the applicant's response, board is okay to release the bond for this as well.
Okay, so the recommendation is we're in position, we can release the bond for this. Does the board have any questions for the applicant or for Aneri? All right, hearing none, seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion that we release the bond, performance guarantee bond amount of $15,170 for Chester Street extension.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Michael. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Elise Mayalowski,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hab,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Vic South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is yes. All right. Now, are we ready to move on to agenda item number 2, 75 South Street?
I think so. We just have to open the public hearing.
I think it's already, I think that we know it's still open from prior meeting, right?
Oh.
Right, Aneri? Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I can brief out on the revised material, which
That
we
would be
received-
great.
Yeah, which we received from applicant on April 2nd or 1st. Basically, applicant addressed the DPW comments. We already sent those revised plan and the comment addressed to Carrie for her second review. We did not hear anything back from her yet due to the short time period, but based on the applicant's letter, he's requesting waiver from site plan standard 210 section 136.1 condition M, which requires sidewalks along the full frontage, and the applicant said that sidewalk construction is impractical due to steps, slopes, the need of retaining wall and wetlands buffer impacts, and the lack of the connecting sidewalk among the frontage of 77 South Street. And they addressed and they submitted a couple of letters addressing to DPW, which they need to, Carrie needs to answer those and review those documents. And I'm aware that applicant is going in front of Conservation Commission tomorrow night. And that was the discussion we had in the last meeting, that they wanted to see feedbacks from COMCOM before planning board make a decision on this minor site plan application, if I'm not wrong. Joe, anything you want to add on this?
Oh, that's pretty much it. The only material change was to the plans was the introduction of the sewer manhole at Kerry's request. Seeing that the staff is doing most of the review, given the nature of this filing, it feels like we overdid it with the paperwork, but we figured we would update the planning board on all the correspondence that we shared with the DPW. So it feels like those decisions will be made by another group, but the intent was to keep you folks aware of where things stand.
Thanks, Joe. Aneri, from your are we? I guess my question is: should we push forward on trying to go through this hearing, or with the Conservation Commission review tomorrow, or what is that appropriate?
From planning board standpoint, we are okay. They are meeting all the minor site plan conditions, and applicant officially requested waiver for that sidewalk conditions, but I will let applicant answer from conservation because there were a couple of discussion we had in the previous meeting, and they wanted to see if conservation tell them if something, I mean, if they need to revise their plan, then they need to come back to planning board to amend that. So that was the discussion we had during the sidewalk, and I think in the March 3rd meeting, if I'm not wrong. So, Joe, do you want planning board to make a decision or wait for one more hearing and see?
Through the chair, quite frankly, the biggest concern we had was if we had to wrap up what we have been calling phase one, we wouldn't be through that process, quite frankly, until July 1st. And it didn't seem particularly practical to take this group through a review and then ask you to table your decision until July 1st or come back and amend this minor site plan approval should we get it. So that was the reason for trying to dovetail these things a little bit more closely. I'm not concerned about a meeting tonight versus tomorrow night, that sort of thing. I didn't want to work very hard and diligently on this in April and then table it until July 1st and ask for a vote August 1st. That seemed a little silly to me. So we are on this end amenable to waiting till conservation gives us their initial filings or discussing any element of the information we turned in last week with you folks. It's really up to the board how you'd like to proceed.
All right, thanks. I'll look to recommendations to the board. Anyone have want to offer opinions? Matthew, go ahead.
Did I hear that we're waiting for DPW's feedback and response still?
Yes, Carrie needs to review the revised plan on the couple of comments she provided, like specifically to town sewer regulations, but they're going to address separately. It will not going to reflect to the planning board. And the main concern was the sidewalk on 77 South Street, which applicant already requested waiver for that due to the reason they cannot do it. And the rest are specifically related to DPW comments. And after Joe's concerns, maybe I can suggest if we want to continue this to one more hearing and then make decision on April 27th, that's fine too, if board is okay. And we can hear from conservation tomorrow after that meeting.
I like that as a plan, but I think the one thing we should talk about to not leave the applicant without information is the sidewalk, the request for a waiver. Let's talk about that. I think in general, South Street has a sidewalk along the other side of the street, and the side of the street this project is on the side of the street that does not have a sidewalk. So the whole length of the street, there's no sidewalk. So as a board, we have to I think we'd be doing ourselves a favor if we give like our basically opinion now, if we're okay with that, the waiver they're requesting, or if we're, I don't think it's in our best interest just to hold that information if we're not comfortable with that until 3 weeks from now. If we're not comfortable with it now, we're not going to be comfortable with it 3 weeks from now. So how does anyone have any questions or concerns about or want to talk about the sidewalk and if we should have a sidewalk and anything along those lines?
Through the chair.
Parker, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say I walked it the other day and the stretch of pavement as it exists, and believe that there's sufficient space today for pedestrian access as well. Anecdotally, I readily see folks from the local CrossFit gym, running up and down the sidewalk with sufficient space. And additionally, given that there aren't sidewalks already in existence to the north or south of this proposed development, feel that it would be us asking something that I believe would be akin to making a sidewalk to nowhere. So similar to like Whisper Way and our sympathy there, I think we should err on the side of, in the future, if we want to have a broader vision on sidewalks on that side of the street, have the town have more collective action relative to implementing that. But at least in its existence in present form today, I believe there's sufficient right of way, and it would be superfluous and unnecessary for the applicant to be required to do something of that scale. But just my 10 cents.
All right. Thanks, Parker. Matthew, go ahead.
So I think DPW originally raised the issue of sidewalks. So I was curious what DPW's response was going to be there. At the moment, all the sidewalks are on one side. And one of the things we noticed during the site walk is there aren't a lot of good crossing points, which does mean that if you are on one side of the street, it's very inconvenient to get to the other side where there's a safe pedestrian area. One of the things that the board has been trying to do over the past few years is to create a network of sidewalks by having them added where there's already been work going on. And so part of the plan was, as there's been work in place, to add the sidewalks there so that they can connect together. And this is not very far from the traffic light, all things considered. And so it would seem like a reasonable place to start kicking off sidewalks on that side of the street.
Through the chair, if I may.
Go ahead, Joe.
I guess the concern we have is that the comment centered around the Metro West Transit Authority, which drops off at the Dunkin' Donuts on the opposite side. So folks will not be accessing that side of the intersection from Haywood Street based on the information that was provided to us. So these folks are crossing South Street to the sidewalk and then taking the sidewalk along our frontage to get to a business on an abutting property. The slopes in front of our space are very steep. There would be a grass strip between the existing pavement and the proposed walk so that we could accommodate the existing utility poles, signage, and electric boxes associated with that light. So we're a few feet back from the edge of pave where it starts to get very steep. So this is not simply scrape off the loom and put down a sidewalk. There'll be some fill introduced there and a retaining wall for about the 250-foot distance. And what really strikes us beyond the expense and the duplicity is that when you get to the end of our property, there's a gap between there and the sidewalk that leads down to Project Just Because It's 77 Main. So we're taking these folks to the boundary line, and then they're crossing back into South Street, making their way along South Street to get to this walk. To me, if this were a situation that were of the utmost importance, when 77 South Street went through their review before this board, there would have been a walk along South Street to this common line. But absent that, it feels like there was a recognition that there wasn't a tremendous need there. And then when I go back and look through the files and the ones that I have been involved in, the designs here before this board at 97 and 99, and then looking at other spots, there's 5 or 6 spots along South Street since 2019 where this board has allowed the variance to the requirement for the sidewalk. So this is not something that is an absolute, not something that the board has done recently in the past. It just feels like a burden to this property owner to solve a situation that, to me, doesn't have a whole lot of merit.
Through the chair. Hey, Rob.
Your mic's off, Rob.
I muted myself twice, I guess, because I coughed. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Parker.
Yeah, I was going to say the only thing to add to it and why I believe that this is worthy of a pass into, I kind of added Mr. Markadot's words. If we vote to require this, we're essentially, as a board, implicitly encouraging residents to cross at that part of the intersection. And I believe as part of and I definitely see credence relative to Matt's comments that we should be looking at more connected ways. However, I believe that point in the intersection is actually like a dangerous place to have a standalone sidewalk on the other side of the road, and encourage folks. And we believe we should have like a broader traffic study or some sort of like review on where there could be more safer points to cross, because it is a blind intersection when you're crossing at that curve. And I think we're essentially encouraging folks to cross that road, and it's a potential safety concern, and possibly even it might make sense that if the intent is to have a passing or a place to pass for projects, just because there could be more sufficient up the road past the dunks. Just again, anecdotally living there, I run there pretty frequently, and even myself when I be across the road, I'm hamstrung to ever cross directly at that intersection, simply because you can't see traffic coming from both sides because it is kind of blind. So just my sense, I think we should definitely push for more connectivity, but at least to burden this applicant, I believe it's probably kind of being reactionary. We should be more proactive and thoughtful and planful with how we execute something of that sort, instead of foisting it on one single applicant.
All right. Thanks, Parker. This topic has come up before the planning board a number of times over the years, and the sidewalk, it's not always straightforward, because the sidewalk to nowhere is just it's like it's not a well thought out pedestrian plan if there's a sidewalk in front of one parcel and then doesn't continue down the street. Does anyone, where is the closest like crosswalk from where would people, if they wanted to cross as a walker, where would they cross the street?
Like that's actually marked?
To the chair.
Go ahead, Vic.
And I can speak as a public, but not as a John, because I have to recuse myself of the 75 South Street. Am I allowed to? Or
yeah, you can go ahead.
No, okay. Yeah, so there's no nearest crosswalk for us because I cross a lot. My daughter goes crossing across for the project just because she volunteers, and it's always a pain for us to cross here. So I have to drop her in the car, even though it's walkable distance, because of the traffic and everything. So there's no nearest one. That's all. I just want to add to that.
Yeah, Rob, I think actually technically the closest sidewalk would be like maybe Dell EMC, if I'm not mistaken, up the road. Could totally be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the closest one that's like marked.
I don't recall even Dell EMC has one, Parker, but maybe you're right. I don't know. And I agree with Parker. It's a dangerous one to cross that street because there's nothing out there. So,
like
but yeah, crosswalk would add a good value for sure. Yeah.
But Vic, as a resident in that area, you'd want the crosswalk at the light where the lights would stop traffic and the crosswalk would be at the light, right?
Yes, but there's no crosswalk at all here for the light. If I have to cross the other side from, let's say I'm on the 80 side, that's the Dunkin side of it. So if I have to cross to the 75th Street, I just have to see when there's no traffic, I just have to run across the street, which is also, again, not an ideal condition during the snow, rain time. So.
Okay. Does anyone else on the board have any comments or thoughts?
I'd be inclined to grant the variance. Rob, do you want to do like a straw vote or something?
Yeah, why don't we do that? That might be the quickest way. Matthew, what would be your inclination?
I like to hear DPW's response.
Okay. And that can be that can be an answer too. Elise?
I would be inclined to grant the variance because I just don't think it's very safe right there. Even though I am in favor of sidewalks everywhere and more connectivity, I agree with what everyone else has said. I don't think it's the right place, in my opinion.
And I think Michael, you said you'd be in favor of granting a waiver.
Yeah, that's correct.
And Parker, it sounds like you too.
Indeed.
Peter?
I would be in favor too.
And Vic wants to recuse himself. And
Yes, but I'm not in favor.
I would be in favor of granting a waiver unless Carrie the DPW comes back with something that's really noteworthy, that like, hey, you guys, you're not thinking about this correctly. Joe, does that give you enough information for that topic, and we can continue to our April 27th meeting?
Yeah, it's very helpful. I think we can move forward.
All right. Aniri, to continue this to April 27th, because it's a minor, I don't have to continue a decision deadline, do I?
Chair, you need to continue the decision deadline. I will suggest May 11. So it gives me a little bit time because we have town meeting on May 2nd.
Okay.
So yeah, May 11.
Matthew, go ahead.
Through the chair, according to the memo, the decision is already due May 11th.
No, Matthew, I changed and put the new date. So board voted on April 20 in March 3rd hearing. So this is the new deadline,
Okay.
which board needs to vote tonight.
All right. So if I'm understanding this correctly, I'd like to entertain a motion to continue the minor site plan project review for what's the street number? For 75 South Street to April 27th, and continue the decision deadline to May 11th.
So moved.
Thanks,
Second.
Michael. Thanks, Matthew. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Elise Mayalowski,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Vic, I guess you're recused. Rob Benson is a yes. All right. Thanks, Joe. We'll see you.
Thank you.
We'll see you at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
All right. I'd like to entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 82 Clinton Street special permit application for 1 common driveway, 2 lots with historic structures.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Matthew. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Elise Mayalowski,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yep.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Vicar South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right.
Through the chair, does it make sense to open both at once?
Yes.
That's what you agree? You concur, Aniri?
Yes, Chair, that would be helpful.
Okay, so agenda item 4 for following along in our, I'd also like to entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 82 Clinton Street frontage waiver.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Take your
All right.
pick.
Roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Elise Mayalowski,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Vicar South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right. To at least initially, I think for like an initial overview, Aniri, it probably makes sense to give us an overview of the project in totality.
Yeah. So applicant submitted application for first common driveway, then special permit for because of the historical structure, the existing structure, and the third is to like a frontage waiver request for the existing structure on the current lot under the subdivision rules and regs. Basically, it's a 2.61 acre property, 82 Clinton Street. It's under the agriculture zoning district, and applicant wants to subdivide the property and build a new house on the backside of the road. So the current existing house is under the, because it's a historical structure, they went through the historical commission. They are okay with that until planning board issued a special permit to build, or I mean to do the addition on the existing house. Applicant went through variance process through Board of Zoning Appeals for the new lot. ZBA granted the variance for the frontage requirement for the new lot. So planning board going to review the common driveway, then the special permit for the existing historical structure, and the frontage waiver for the existing structure. Rob, I saw your email regarding do they need a frontage? Oh my God. But yeah, frontage waiver. Yes, they need frontage waiver based upon our zoning bylaw under the historical structure and subdivision rules and regs. So currently applicant going to go through this process. Once they have approval from planning board, they need to file A&R for both the lots. So the frontage waiver is just for the existing lot because they already have variance for the new lot. And yeah.
Okay, so let me try to summarize what I think. So there's a 2.6, approximately 2.6 acre parcel of land on Front Street, 82 Front Street. 82 Front Street, the property has, what is it, 165 feet of frontage today, or approximately?
Yes.
And so the plan is to subdivide the lot to basically the historic structure would remain on the front parcel, and the new parcel would be on the back parcel, and there'd be a common driveway kind of running along the first house to go to the second house, correct?
That is correct.
So my question before we get into this, if it wasn't a historic structure, would they be able to get a variance?
Like this, what do you mean? If the house is not a historical structure, do they need variance or not?
No. I mean, like, does that put it in some special in a case where this would be considered? Because like normally, someone just coming to the planning board, look like people. I can't think of a time where somebody like that kind of waiver is coming to the planning board. That would normally go to the Board of Appeals, I think, to try to, unless I'm wrong. I'm trying to think of a scenario where we can, what makes this special where a waiver would be appropriate as opposed to any other house along any other street, I guess is my point.
Okay, so let me again brief out. Let me share my screen with the plan. Okay. Oops. I don't know what is going on again. Can you see my screen?
I cannot.
Oh. Okay, so somehow I'm not able to share my screen again. I don't know why, but okay, so let me just brief out again. So first of all, the property 82 Clinton, it's non-conforming property. It's in residential 60 zoning district. Oh my God, it's in agriculture zoning district. And based upon that, they need to have 60,000 square feet lot size and 200 square feet frontage, which they do not have currently. So that comes under the non-conforming standards, if we call that. Applicant wants to subdivide the property and build one house on the backside of property. Because they want to build that, they need to go through the variance from zoning board. And the current house is a historical structure, and based upon our Hopkinton zoning bylaw, they need to go through planning board for special permit and for the frontage waiver as well. So it's not going to be the entire subdivision process. It's just going to through A&R process to subdivide the lot and build the house on this new lot, but they need a frontage waiver on the existing one as well because it's a historical structure. If it's not a historical structure, then they don't need a frontage 9. They need to go through, frontage waiver form 9. They just need to go through zoning board of appeals for both the parcels. But since this is historical structure and based upon our section 210, 117, they need to apply to planning board for frontage waiver and the subdivision rules and regs.
Okay, so that's what make it different. That's what makes it different because we've never, like in my time on the planning board, we haven't had a situation where this has happened. Okay, anyone on the board have? Wait, let's let me. Maybe now is if there's any initial questions.
We have applicant on the call. If he wants to address something, we receive a lot of comments from different departments as well. It's in the memo. I can summarize a couple of them.
Well, let's see if we can. Mr. Stone, you're the applicant. Would you like to say anything about the project?
Yes. Can you hear me okay there?
Yes.
Yeah. So just to give a quick summary of the whole project, this kind of went down this rabbit hole. The intention of this project was never to subdivide the property. It came to my attention that it was a historic house after we had purchased it. So then we went down the historic board and then we found out that there is different regulations potentially for historic lots. So we were we spoke with the historic board. They requested us to preserve the property, and we've obliged, and we've done the plans accordingly to try to still get this other house and abide by the rules of historic requests, basically. And so now we're basically trying to build the original house that we wanted and keep the one in the front. Everything that we're doing is within the buffer zones. We've been very thoughtful with our civil engineering and science. We've had a lot of back and forth, but we've been very thoughtful on that. The pre-existing non-conforming lot on the front is part of this application is just to get the waiver for the frontage, because you had previously gone to zone and they had approved our 0 frontage essentially for the rear lot. So this is kind of the process I'm learning as I go too, because it seems like there's a lot of little pieces, and every time I turn around there's something else. So as far as I know, this is the next step in kind of getting everybody together to see what we're trying to do. Preserve the front house, build an addition on the front, as well as get approval for the rear house is essentially the big picture.
Okay. All right. Aniri, would you like to go through the regulatory review parts or information from other town departments?
Sure, I can go through both actually.
It's really those guys that was one. Right. They might have misled them.
So the proposed project required 2 special permit from planning board, special permit for common driveway and special permit for lots with the historic structure. Special permit for common driveway regulated under section 210, 120 of the zoning bylaw, and under this section, common driveway is identified as a single private way providing vehicular access to 2 single-family dwelling. And the bylaw further states the common driveway must be privately owned and maintained, shall not be considered street or public ways, and shall not constitute a part of the designated or legal frontage of any lot. And second is the special permit for lot with the historical structure. This required under section 210, 117.2 because the applicant proposed to create a lot that does not meet the standard size and setback requirements while preserving historically significant structure. And under this section, planning board may grant the special permit if the lot to be created contain historic structure and the structure will be preserved in the place or relocated within the lot as a part of the development application. And the board finds that the proposed lot is in the harmony with the general proposed zoning bylaw. We have Ty and Bond as a third-party peer reviewer. We did not hear back anything from them. We just received proposal this morning, scope of work from this morning. So I'm hoping that we're gonna get their feedback on this application soon. I provided the revised plan which applicants submitted on April 3rd, which is Friday, and other departments needs to review on that revised plan. But the original plan which applicant submitted, based upon that, we received comments from different departments, especially conservation and health department do have a lot of comments on that. So yeah, conservation, they found out about the Vernon Pole septic system. I'm aware that applicant changed the footprint of the new rare house. I'm not sure how it's going to affect on the zoning board decision, but that's going to be a separate matter. But based upon the conservation comments, it's like installation of erosion control directly on the buffer line, grading near buffer zone, well installation and long-term well access without entering the buffer zone, potential for future encroachment into the buffer zone, and it's going to risk wetland line, and it's going to be in the COMCOM jurisdiction as per the revised plan, which submitted by applicant, revised plan number 3. Based upon that, Conservation Commission recommending that applicant apply to them. And if it goes something under their jurisdiction, it's going to be as a unpermitted work, and they will enforce at that time. And Conservation Commission recommending applicant to apply to them. Based upon fire department comments, there are a couple of concerns for common driveway, and fire department happy to work with applicant on that matter. They did not provide any specific, but their main concern is the public safety and their fire truck access. Health department have 2 concerns on the proposed well locations. One, and they have concerns on drainage line. So the health department comments are based on the original plan applicant submitted, not on the revised plan, since they modify the location of the new house. So we need comments on that from health department as well. Other things on the frontage waiver request, that is under the Mass General Law subdivision chapter 41 section 81R, which require planning board to waive the strict compliance of the subdivision rules and regulations and inaction to the public interest not inconsistent with intent and purpose of subdivision control law. And Form N frontage waiver is for that, to require waiver on the frontage for the existing lot. And once planning board issue and review, that applicant needs to come back for A&R in the future.
Okay. So, is there, I think, one sec. I think from a planning point of view, we're gonna need to continue this to our next public hearing. But is there people from the public that would like to comment, or other people that would like to comment about this
Yeah.
project?
My name's Ken Parker, and I'm here with my wife Zoe. Do you hear me?
Yep. Just say your street address. I see it on the
69 Clinton Street.
Go ahead.
So we're across the street pretty much directly. My concern primarily is that it seems like the historical aspect of the house is being used in order to build two houses in place of just one. And I don't understand, from looking at the pictures shown in the supplements, they're not preserving very much of the old house. It looked like a completely new house. And I well understand why they might want to build a new house, because the old house is in pretty bad shape. The only historical part about the old house that I think that they could possibly be preserving is the basement, which is not a very large basement in the first place. It is an old basement. It's kind of historical looking if you go down there, which we've done. In fact, it used to, in the way the house had been, one could not access the basement from the ground floor of the house. You had to go out in from the outside.
It's still that way.
So that part was historical, but there's nothing about that that's going to be really maintained from the new house. So it seems to me, given the frontage situation, that it's a stretch to even continue one house there. I don't understand why all of a sudden there's going to be two houses there. I don't know. I don't really mind there being more neighbors, but it just seems like you're violating the regular requirements for subdividing lots by going this route. And this historical business is being used as a pretext to achieve that.
Thanks, Mr. Parker. Anyone else?
Can I comment on that just a little
Yeah,
bit?
just state your name and your address.
Aaron, the 82 Clinton.
Oh,
so
yeah, go ahead.
Is that okay or not?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just in response, the proposed renovation project for the historic house actually keeps all of the structure in play. Just to clarify that there is going to be an addition to it, but everything is actually staying in play. I know that there's only a portion of the current house that is historic, but it's all staying intact. Just to clarify.
Okay, thanks.
Or I can comment again, but I mean, it showed a pretty new looking house there. I mean, the looks of the house were rather different. The whole roof would be replaced.
Thanks, Mr. Parker.
And
Yeah,
another store added.
we understand. Is there anybody else? Mr. Thrasher?
Yes, I'm the engineer on this project, and I thought I should be able to share my screen, and I don't know if we have time or if it's worth me kind of giving a quick tour about what we've come across during the design of this site, some of the restrictions, some of the challenges, and where we've kind of laid this on the plan as of last Friday. Is it something?
Yeah, we can spend a few minutes because we're going to need to continue this. And I just don't want to do it now and do it again in our next meeting, but a few minutes would be great.
Sure, I'll be very quick. I just sent a share request. There it is. All right. So I believe everyone's looking at this PDF. You minimize this window. So just to start right off the bat, what are some of the restrictions of this site? We have a wetland down here on the southeastern side. You can see this green wetland flagged area. We have another wetland on the southwestern side. We have what conservation brought to our attention here last week is a potential vernal pool. The placement of these wetland flags was conducted by a wetland scientist, and if anything lies in a conservative location compared to another plan that was done on the neighboring adjacent property here on the south side back in 2022. So we're very confident in this wetland location. You see these yellow lines are our wetland buffer lines. This blue line all the way up here is our 225-foot potential vernal pool buffer. So for septic, we have to be 225 feet out of that buffer zone to the vernal pool, and we have to be 100 feet out of the wetland buffer zone. So as you can see, very challenging site, and we were able to successfully protect these resource areas by keeping all work outside of the jurisdictional areas that are these buffer zones, the 100-foot wetland buffer, the 125 potential vernal pool for construction, and the 225 potential vernal pool for septic leaching fields. So this is, if I just scroll up here, I'm not sure you can see, this is the existing stone driveway. We're just widening it another 12 feet. I've designed this with a turning radius for SU-30 vehicles, which are fire trucks to get in and out of. This is the location of the front house septic system up here outside of the jurisdictional area. All grading, all work, even this well is outside of those jurisdictional areas. And we did go back and look forth with conservation quite a bit. They were worried about the proximity of the foundation near the wetland buffer, 100-foot buffer line. So we've really pushed this back a lot off that line. So it's the ease of construction and to meet some of their concerns. And this is it right here.
Okay. While this is up, does anyone on the board have any questions? All right. Would the board like to schedule a site walk to see this property?
It would probably make sense, I think, but I'll defer to everybody else.
Would it be okay for us to visit this property, see how it see the as it is on Earth, get a firsthand view of what the lay of the land is?
From my perspective, yes, no problem.
Okay. What about 9 a.m. this Saturday? Or either 9 a.m. this Saturday or 9 a.m. on the 25th.
Saturday would be better, so we can get it done sooner than later. From my standpoint, I've been going back and forth a while, so the sooner the better. I would have to defer again to Jay. I'm not sure if he's needed there or available. But would you prefer Jay to be there also, the engineer?
I would like to be there. Unfortunately, it's my child's first birthday party on Saturday. So.
Okay.
What about the 25th? Is the 25th any better?
Let me just check real quick. If Aaron, it's up to you. I mean, if you've got a good handle on this, we've been working lockstep on this for 2 months. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like I could probably walk everybody through it on Saturday. If you're comfortable with that, Jay.
Yeah, I think that's fine, and I'll just play supporting role, follow up with questions if anyone has questions in an email. Happy to address what we put on paper there.
Yep.
All right. Aniri, I'd like to continue this to our next meeting, the 27th. Do I need to continue any decision deadline or anything?
No, No, we don't need to continue any decision deadline for any not for frontage and not for special permit. We just need to vote to continue the both hearings.
All right, I think it's probably worth it providing my kind of first take to the applicant. This is an unusual like request for a variance before the planning board. So like this hasn't happened in like my 7 years on the planning board, where there's been a historic structure and they come to the planning board for fundamentally a waiver. So it's unusual to me. The street frontage is already non-conforming. It's already less than that's required in the agricultural zoning district in Hopkinton. And now the request is fundamentally to put 2 homes on with what would normally be less street frontage for 1 home. So it doesn't give me a warm fuzzy feeling right off the bat. That would be my my opinion. But we are happy to go through the process. And obviously, I'm just one of 9 members on the board, but that's my initial take. So, unless there's any other comments, I'd like to entertain a motion to continue this public hearing for 82 Clinton Street to April 27th.
So moved.
Thanks, Parker. Thanks, Michael. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Elise Mayalowski,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Vikasath Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is yes. All right. That brings us. Does that continue the public hearing for both, Aniri, or do I need to make 2 separate motions?
You just mentioned 82 Clinton, so we can consider for both.
Okay, great. So that brings us to the end of our agenda items. Our next meeting is April 27th. And at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn for this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Parker. Thanks, Matthew. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Elise Mayalowski,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Vikasath Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is yes. All right. Thanks, everybody.